Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. Today I'm continuing to answer the questions about OCD recovery that you left under my Ask a Question About OCD video. First question is, hi Ali, could taking things personal be due to OCD and anxiety? I noticed myself taking everything around me extremely personally and it's super frustrating. I feel like OCD pushes this. If someone throws a comment at me, I automatically get super upset and offended by just random things. I get super easily triggered. It's like not only my brain but my whole body tells me to be extremely mad. I have to be mad because I was attacked. I have to fight. I have to be mad. um, I hope you get what I mean. I know you always say that the techniques you present us here can be used for anything, not only OCD. So next time I'm in a situation being triggered like that, what should I do? What are your tips? Because earlier today, I was in a situation like that, and I tried to disregard the feeling of being mad and offended as good as possible, but then I exploded and cried my eyes out. Things like this are really not beneficial to calm the brain down and recover from OCD. Do you also have any tips on what to do if a person cares obsessively about what other people think about him or her? Same as with OCD disregard. Yes. So this is very, very common. I think that the reason why your reaction is this way, because you're going from being angry to crying, basically your nerves are shot. You know, they're at their limit. And that's how a person would react when they're pushed like that, right? So just look at it as, again, this is not directly OCD, but this is because of OCD. And yes, in short disregard, in addition to that, you should expose yourself to situations that are similar to this, especially a situation where you're kind of saying to yourself all the time, yep, in this situation, this person disagrees with me. So what? Disregarding. Then wait a few minutes. If they disagree with me, so what? Disregarding. And do it over and over and over again until you lose, kind of uh, not the anxiety but the anger associated with it, because the more you think of all of the, oh, this person, da 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 da, oh, I can't believe, or why won't they, why don't they agree with me, what if they don't like me? Okay, they don't like me. Okay, they don't agree with me. So what? Moving on. And keep exposing to that thought all the time. You will see that it will lose its effect on you, and then when they say something that triggers, it would normally trigger you, just practice kind of hearing that in your mind. So repeat that to yourself again, disregard. You will see that it will lose power over you, because again, this is something that has power over you. You're not getting anywhere by blowing up like this, right? So choose not to do it. Next question is, hi Ali, I have sensory motor OCD. How to disregard the thoughts and obsessions? My only problem is that I can't seem to relax or live life without fear. Like whenever I do something new, my mind triggers this anxiety alert, and I might develop an obsession. It's just my mind keeps on pausing on something when I fear developing an obsession. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm hyper aware of. It's just the fear of developing an awareness. I also just want to have a natural flow with things. I don't want my mind to keep suggesting awareness. I want thoughts to go by naturally without fearing to get hyper awareness. Hope this makes sense. It makes sense, but the more, you know how you, in this question, you're saying, I want it to be this way. Do you see how much control you're trying to push here? You need to let go of the control. So instead of saying, I want it like this and I want to feel like this, you're chasing the feeling. Don't chase the feeling. You feel how you feel. Right now, you are in OCD anxiety mode. Of course, you will feel uncomfortable on a physical level, on a mental level. You might feel stressed. Your body may be strained, tense, all those things. And there's nothing you can do about it because you're in a state of anxiety. And the more you're trying to control it, the more you keep yourself in the state of anxiety. So if you approach it as, whatever, I don't care, I'm moving on. However my body feels, it's how it feels. However my mind feels, it feels. It's um, basically you're not allowing yourself to fall into any kind of analyzing or any kind of fear associated with any of it. And right now you are in that state where you're fearing these things. So choose not to. Just, okay, whatever. I don't care anymore. I'm choosing to not care. If it's like a, to put it in an abstract kind of term for you, if two people are playing a game, right, but you're choosing not to play the game anymore, the person can't play by themselves. That's the thing. So the brain will run out of steam if you don't play the game anymore. You have to do that, because right now you're just chasing a feeling. It's just going to continue to get worse if you're continuing to do this way. Next question is, how do I tackle something like puerile religious OCD with exposure and response prevention? In other cases, you can always find certainty, like in HIV test, you can get a test done. But when it comes to religion, it's the only real answer you will ever get about the example, hell or heaven and devil, is when you die. How do you handle something like that? So the thing is people without OCD, right, who are religious, do not spend their days worrying about it. Yes, a thought might, kind of go through their mind, but they don't spend days obsessively worrying about this. So when you recover, in real life, you don't need to worry about it. You just need to worry about it in OCD life, right? So in the same way that, a person doesn't need 20,000 tests for HIV, in that same way, you don't need proof of this. You're searching for proof that people without OCD are not searching for. So if you are still in the state of getting reassurance, then you're not doing ERP. You're just trying to get reassurance. ERP is to say, if it tells you, the thought tells you, what if you go to hell? Then I go to hell. What if I go to heaven? Then I go to heaven. What if bad things are going to happen? Bad things are going to happen. What if bad things happen to someone else? Bad things happen to someone else. What if I want bad things to happen? Okay, that I want bad things. Like, just keep, just whatever it tells you, don't take it seriously. It's just your brain on autopilot throwing thoughts at you. It's not saying anything important. It's not giving you some hidden message or hidden information. It's just telling you the same thing that you were afraid of before. So a random thought came into your mind and you stopped it by paying attention to it. Usually people just let it pass, right? But you stopped it, paid attention to it. It sent it back just to make sure, like, apparently you reacted with fear, right? So that's what it did, is it sent it back. You reacted with fear again, and then it did it again and again and again. So you need to stop the cycle. So you don't need reassurance. You don't need to figure it out. The exposure, say for example, another common situation with religious OCD is a person during prayer will get really bad thoughts. So in that sense, right? So okay, I'm getting an autopilot thought. So what? So you're not trying to control the thoughts. You're not changing how you're praying. You're not stopping praying. You're not doing anything differently. You're just like, okay, my autopilot brain is doing something. I'm doing something else. It doesn't matter what it's saying. And that would be exposure and response prevention. You're preventing the response of fear. You're responding with indifference, basically. Meaning not responding at all. You're just like, whatever. Next question is, my anxiety is non-existent during the day and only happens at night. Do you have any thoughts on this? And is this something you've encountered before? If so, is there any particular measures one can take? Yeah, I do see this. It's not as common as having OCD in first thing in the morning, but I do see quite a bit of that. I would say the rarest is to have OCD in the afternoon kind of time. Usually people will either have OCD in the morning, first thing when they wake up, and I would say that's probably like 70%, if not 80, and then 20%, 30% will have it in the evening. So that's how it breaks down. But still that's kind of a lot of people. So I do see it quite a bit. What can you do about it? So I would say go to bed when you're actually tired. Don't avoid, but at the same time, don't go to bed too late. So if you feel like you can't sleep and you ruminate, try to wake up earlier, because you can't really control when you're falling asleep, but you could control when you're waking up. And if you wake up earlier, chances are you get more tired, and then you'll be able to fall asleep better. Um, I would stay away from sleeping medication unless you absolutely feel like you can't fall asleep, because even then I would do it only in emergency times, not every single day, because most of the time it's not necessary. But you have to be the judge of that, of course. But yeah, I would just say, just go to bed when you're really tired, and then when you go to bed, expect the thoughts to come in. So kind of, it's not, I mean, that it's unfortunate that you're going to bed is kind of an exposure, but it is what it is. We can't change that. So look at it as, when I go to bed, it's going to bring me some thought, it's going to make me feel worse. um there's nothing I can do about it except for disregarding the thought. So this is my exposure exercise time. I am going to disregard no matter what it says. If you are aware that the thoughts are going to come in around a certain time, that makes it so much easier to handle it than if they come out of the blue and you're not prepared. So being prepared really does help. Next question is, hi Ali, I have religious OCD. I find it very difficult to deal with certain exposures that I'm not sure began before or during OCD, and I find it hard to throw these exposures to the side, as I fear it could be a chance they arose before OCD, and I am actually doing something. Just a second, sorry, lost my question. Doing something against God by ignoring them. So I don't want to give you reassurance, but I don't know if there's really such a thing as before OCD, because I find that if you really dig into it, there's usually signs from a very early age. Um, and it's not like we know when OCD hit hard, but we don't know when little signs of OCD started here and there. So before OCD is, I don't think that that's a real term, really, you know? That's one. And two, this sounds like classic OCD, and you need to take a chance and say, I'm choosing to ignore it, and because that's the right thing to do. That's what Ali said, that's what everybody said. I'm choosing to ignore it, and just go with that. If you feel like you at least try to delay it. So I'm going to ignore it for 2 days, then I'll think about it, and then I'm going to ignore it for 3 days, then I think about it. And you will see that as you do this, the anxiety will start to drop, and it will be easier to ignore it for a longer period of time. So it's just kind of pushing yourself as much as you can. But yeah, this is classic OCD. If you have next question is, if you have a terrible memory, for example, I have a doctor telling me I wasn't going to ever get better of OCD. How do you get over such traumatic memories? Can you can you do expose and response prevention help in this? If so, how? So first of all, just look at it as um, a doctor who's a human being has said something. You are a human being. You make mistakes. So a doctor who's a human being will also make mistakes. You work in your job. He works in his job. Believe me, doctors make a lot of mistakes just like the rest of us. You know? So this is not, superhuman person talking to you. This is a regular human being talking to you. And they have a regular human being opinion. And their opinion could be based on something they read in a book, 2 or 3 clients that they have seen over the years, once a week or once a month, that they couldn't help recover. It could have been based on a lot of things. I think it's just in our society, we are kind of, we really put doctors on a different level as regular people. And trust me, they're people just like everyone else. So just look at it as, this is not traumatic, this is one person's opinion, disregard. If you work yourself into this frenzy of like, this opinion means more because it came from a doctor and this doctor knows, don't do that. Okay, a person had an opinion and another person had a different opinion, and now they recovered, and this person didn't recover. And do the work, you will recover. Don't do the work, you will not recover. Simple as that. Yeah. Apparently that doctor only saw people that don't recover. So, okay. Don't analyze, don't go into the analyzing, because the more you do, the more scarier it will seem. Next question is, hi Ali, I have a question about false memory OCD. Can it be based on real life past events? For example, something really happened in the past, but details which I remember about this event are false. I have an intrusive thought about the details of the real past event. I think that these details are false because I hadn't such memories before when I didn't suffer from OCD. But my mind tells me it really could happen in such a way. You just don't remember exactly because it happened about 15 years ago. It feels so real and it makes me feel bad. I cannot stand that I could really do this in the past. Can OCD distort past events? Well, I know that these details of the event are false after recovery. Yes, you will know that these details of the event are false after the recovery. OCD can definitely distort the past events, and this is kind of like a thing that I remember 15 years ago, I was driving on this street and I remember hitting something. And what if at that time when I was driving, I actually hit a person? Because I remember hitting something. So then the OCD can fill in that blank and say, oh yeah, I kind of remember somebody saying something. I remember a scream. Where did that scream come from? Because I do clearly remember it. And the mind can really fill that in for sure. So just look at it as OCD, choosing to disregard. And actually, this kind of situation is very common. So I see this a lot, that the actual event is not a big deal, but the detail that the person adds to it, the fake detail, makes it a big deal. And again, it's a false big deal. So choosing to false memory OCD, choosing to move on, no matter how real it feels, making sure not to give in, not to analyze, and not to, with false memory OCD especially, if I would say it's bad to do reassurance and to ruminate on with any type of OCD. But I would say by far it's the worst with false memory OCD. The reason being is that the brain will start to file these images, and they've done studies on this. These fake images with the actual real memories. So it stores it in the same, I don't know, in the same brain area, let's say. So, but they actually proved it in the study I was reading. So that makes it harder for you to tell the difference. So something that at first you will think of this detail and it will feel, kind of real, but then kind of not. But the more you think about it, say like a week goes by and you're still thinking about it, it will start to feel really real. Because now the brain is kind of filing it all as one thing, but as you refuse reaction, it does go back. It does seem to go back because, I see it in practice with false memory OCD when I talk to clients. So it does go back. You will know that it was nothing, but right now you just can't analyze the situation, because every time you analyze, these details will feel more real and it will add more layers, more new details to these fake details. Hi, Ali. My question is, can a person recover from religious OCD completely? Means after recovery, can I do my religious works like worship without scary thoughts? Because only calm mind can do worship. So you can do worship even right now. The more you can't see, um, if it says that in the religious text, they're not kind of accounting OCD. The more you avoid real life activities, um, the worse OCD will get. So I would say, so do worship as you normally would do it now, and the brain will click in and will stop sending you the thoughts over time. But the more you're avoiding worship until kind of like the time where OCD is no longer present, the worse it's going to get. You're getting deeper into OCD by avoiding, and then it will add other things that you have to avoid as well. So I don't want you to avoid anything. Just do things as you normally do them. If bad thoughts are coming in, so what? Automatic bad thoughts are coming in. There's nothing you can do. Just look at it as God knows that you have OCD clearly. So you know, he understands what's what, right? That I don't know what religious practice, what is your religious practice, but that's in every religious practice, right? So you look at it that way, that God knows what's in my heart. God knows that I have OCD. I'm not doing things any different, because doing things differently will make me worse, not better. Next question is, hi Ali, lately I've been scared I'll never get my attraction fully back for men due to my HOCD. How do I avoid checking for these feelings when I'm around a man I find attractive, or my partner? And when you say the feelings of normality will come back for your client, and when would you say the feelings of normality would come back for your clients? With this, I would say, so the feelings are there, but they are coded in the feelings of anxiety and fear. So, you know, you're in fight or flight mode. You're not in attractiveness mode. You're in fight or flight mode. You can't be both at the same time, you know, with HOCD especially. Um, so you have to look at it that way, and just look at it that, okay, HOCD is here for now. How I feel is how I feel. At some point in the future, I will feel okay. If you say, okay, I have to feel like this in a month, and if I don't feel like this in a month, then that means something. You know, then you're kind of anxiously waiting this time, and you're just making it worse, right? So instead say, I will feel how I will feel. Later on in time, it will go away and I will feel normal again. For now, it is what it is. And just go with that. Don't chase the feeling. It's not just for this type of OCD, for any type of OCD. The more you chase the feeling of relief, the worse it's going to get. And the worse the feelings are going to get, and the thoughts and the images and whatever. You know? So just choose not to do that. Next question is, hi, Ali. My question has to do with OCD and postpartum. I have OCD and I suffer from intrusive thoughts. I just gave birth to my son a week ago. Oh, congratulations. And I am dealing with a lot of intrusive thoughts about getting depressed and not bonding with my baby, and it scares me. Any suggestion would be helpful. So first of all, I've talked to a lot of women who just given birth, and I don't know what it is, but I do have a lot of clients who are in different stages of pregnancy. They're, you know, a really early stage, but I don't know. I do tend to have a lot of clients in this situation. And I can tell you that right after birth, what I generally see is that the hormones are racing, and it does make OCD worse. So after, maybe I would say, so you're saying a week ago, so I would say maybe in a month it will start, like within a month it will start to calm down. But try to, whatever the situation, sure, I will not bond with the baby, of course. And if I will not bond with the baby, all the bad things of the world will happen, and it will be bad, and you know, and just try to expose yourself that all the time. So you say all of this, like what I just said, wait a few minutes, then you're like, yep, sure, I will not bond with the baby. And just repeat this over and over again in a sarcastic tone, without taking it seriously. And same thing about getting depressed. Of course, I will also get depressed. I will not bond with the baby. The baby will grow up. All the bad things will happen. The baby will not love me. Da, 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 da. You know, just make it really outrageous, and just keep repeating that to yourself. So, because what happens right now is the thought comes in, all of a sudden scares you, then goes away. Well, it's kind of probably always present, but kind of subsides a little bit, then hits you again, you know? But if you're saying, you know what, I can bring this thought up too, let's make it really outrageous, you will see that the anxiety actually drops quite a bit, and you'll be able to do that. But I would say just continue to do exposures all day with this, you know? And of course, hormones do, I do see this a lot. People ask me about pregnancy all the time, and this is pretty much what I see, is that before birth, it doesn't really, I mean, it does get bad in terms of hormones, but not as bad as right after the birth. I find that that's where OCD does tend to hit. Um, you know, so just look at it as this is temporary, and it's, I mean, if you weren't in this situation, you would probably still have OCD, but it just kind of takes it up a notch, right? But if you, whatever it, Yep, sure, I'm gonna get depression, sure. And also look at it this way. Important note about depression is that OCD is a depressing kind of thing to deal with. So feeling depressed that you have OCD is not the same thing as postpartum depression or feeling clinically depressed or becoming clinically depressed. You know, you're sad because you're in a sad situation, but you're coming out of it, and once you come out of it, you will have nothing to be sad about, and you will not be sad. So it's a resolvable situation, and it would be abnormal if you felt extremely happy while dealing with OCD. That would be abnormal, right? So look at it as it is what it is. I will feel how I will feel. I'm dealing with a lot, you know, and however I bond, I don't bond. If I don't bond now, I will bond later. I will have plenty of time to do that later. So, and just look at it like that. Diffuse the fear. Next question is, hi Ali, what is the best strategy for OCD recovery? Is it by stopping compulsions one at a time, say one a day, or stopping them all for a certain amount of time a day, so an hour, then 2 hours? Um, I would say, okay, so the question, stopping compulsions one at a time or stopping them all of the compulsions for a certain time of the day, so for an hour or two a day. I would say stopping them all is better because it's kind of like say you have a bunch of say you have some sort of a vessel, and in the vessel there's a bunch of holes, and you're like plugging up one hole, and and the water leaks through the other one, so then you go to the other one and the water starts to leak through the first one. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to speak in these kind of flowery terms just because it illustrates the problem. So I would say that if you start to train your mind in global sense, that all of this doesn't mean anything. It's not this thought or that thought. It's all of these thoughts are false. They're all the same. They're all false. They all mean nothing. That's going to be much more productive. And exactly what you said, just do a little bit at a time, you know, as much as you can handle. Do an hour, see how you feel, then do 2 hours, see how you feel. I think it's a great strategy. And last question for today. Hi, Ali. Thanks for your brilliant videos. Thank you for watching. Here's my question. I have HIV OCD and I've taken 2 tests and I'm waiting on the results of the third, but I struggle to believe the test results when they come back negative. What do you suggest I do? I suggest that you choose to move on. Again, like you're saying, like I have HIV OCD. I already taken 2 tests and I'm waiting on the third, you know, so believe me, it's OCD. Choose to move on. You have to make a choice to move on. It is just OCD, but the more you research information on HIV, the more tests you take, there is no amount of tests that you will take that will be enough. And it will just jump on some other topic, some other detail, you know how OCD goes. So you need to start choosing to disregard, and with the HIV OCD especially, it really does come down to reassurance and research. But this person said this, but this person said that, and that's what keeps it going. So it's like, nope, choosing to not look, choosing not to Google, choose. I've done 2 tests, well, 3 now, that's enough. I'm moving forward. I'm choosing to move forward. That's all the questions well, it's not all the questions I have, but we're now approaching 30 minutes, and at this point only 2 people are listening, I'm sure. But I will get to the rest of the questions tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this community. I will see you tomorrow. If you would like to do one-on-one recovery program with me, as always, my program is available through youhaveocd.com, and you can sign up from there. Please subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.